I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 there. We can scroll out a fair amount to see a lot at once. Some of you guys might realize that we are on an Earth map because this is Africa here, and going on up here is obviously a large amount of units here. But are we at war? Do we even know? Well, let's look at the various ways to tell. So there are a lot of info panels we can look at to get more information about the game. I know a lot of people have been asking about these sorts of things. So let me move our camera to the other side. So here is the city list. There's this button over here where we can get a general info panel. Before, you guys saw it set up as research. You can see that I'm researching machinery, but I switched it to city list, and we can see the 5 cities we have, what is being built, what its offensive rating is, and the number of population. But if you want even more information than that, all of these little side things have a much larger overview where we can see even more statistics. We can sort and see how much food, science, all the things they produce. Over on the left here, we can see the total amount of money or total amount of gold that we have going in and out of the empire. I have a net of 35 per turn right now, and we can see exactly why. Here's the income. My cities are contributing 90 just from the tiles they're working and various other things, as well as the trade routes are providing.
Welcome to the live stream of Civilization 5. I'm Elizabeth Toby, and I'm here with Greg Lobbs and Garrett Bittner, who you can see on the camera right now.
I'm Greg. Garrett.
Greg will be
and some of you guys on the stream have noticed that when you go to the world map, the city walls may look a little, how do I say it, black at the moment. That is not how they're going to look in the final game. As I said, this is a build that is perhaps a tiny bit in flux just because it's one of our internal builds. That's not how the retail copy is going to be, and you don't have to worry about that. We decided that we wanted city walls, obviously, in the save, and since Greg put in somewhere around 10 hours into this build, took him all weekend, and we need to make sure we stayed with the same build. That's why you're seeing this. But no, that's not how they look in the final game.
So another of the info panels we can see here is the unit list. We can see that I have a large number of units, and once again there's a military overview screen which shows it in much more detail. We can see the strength and the ranged strength, as well as how many movements left. We can see what each unit's doing. We can see I have a few units fortified. One of my units is fortifying until he is healed. The others appear to just be waiting on to get their current orders. I also have a bunch of workers down here. Looks like a bunch of them are sleeping, probably because they don't have anything to do right now. Might be a good idea for me to expand them since my unit is costing me so much. And then you can see the unit supply over here, which lets you know how many units your empire can support. There's a hard limit based on your base supply, based on the difficulty, plus the amount that your cities provide, by number of cities, plus the number of population you have. All adds up into giving you how many units you can use. So I have a total of 36. I'm using 20. Another one of the overlays is, of course, the tech tree, which we can see what I've researched so far. I've researched everything in the ancient era, the classical era, and most of the techs in the medieval era. As I said, I tried to get to the industrial era, but the problem was that France just wouldn't give me peace, and it took so long to do this war with him, and it has been a fierce back and forth fight. But actually, in a lot of ways, it'll probably be more interesting because we're in this big, huge fight here. I kept offering him peace I was letting him know that I just needed to get to the industrial era, but he didn't care. So here's a thing a lot of people have been asking for, which is the diplomatic overview. We can see a quick glance of what the different civs are, and we can see that I am at war with France. We can also see that France has 1,000 points, and I have 250 points, which is a large part of the reason that I'm having such trouble. We can also see all the city-states we've met down here, what their outstanding quest is, what our current influence with them is, and the big button for the deeper diplomatic overview. This is the screen where you can see a lot more information about the civs. We can see how much gold every civ has, what luxury resources they have available to trade. If we have a defensive pact or open borders or what may be the case. And we can also see the city-states in more detail over here and what they provide. Now here's a screen a lot of people have been wondering about, the deal history screen. Yes, there is a screen that lets you see what your current deals are. We can see right now I have a research agreement with Elizabeth that was started on turn 188 and will last for 30 turns. I also have a deal with Elizabeth to provide some resources back and forth. We also get a history of every deal I've made since the beginning of the game. You can see I made one deal with Napoleon way back in the day. I guess that wasn't enough to win him over because we're now at war. And then you can see all these other deals that I made. And you can also finally see the global politics to see how other civs are relating to each other. I can see that I'm at war with Napoleon. I think, no, there used to be another guy at war with Napoleon as well, but he is no longer. We can see that I've formed a pact of secrecy with, in fact, all three other civilizations against Napoleon. I think everyone is worried about the fact that he has such a large army and so many points. So, backing out of there, we will now look at the map.
Another cool overlay panel that's really important, especially for multiplayer games, is the victory overview, which is really cool.
There we go.
And so here you can see that we have 4 different types of victory: domination, science, diplomacy, and culture. And this panel will tell you how close you are to winning each of those victories.
Yeah, so we can see here that a couple people have lost their capitals, which means the domination victory is closer. We can see the rough progress of how far I am through the tech tree, which would get a science victory or a space race victory. The diplomatic victory is not until later, but we can see how many votes I would be getting based on, for example, I have liberated a city-state, so I have a guaranteed vote from them because I liberated them from France way back in the day. So that's all that.
And as you go on, people are dying to see some more, so
okay.
I'm going to let you get to game plan. I'm going to run through a couple questions. Yes, in the collector's edition or the special edition, there's going to be our soundtrack, and this game uses Steamworks, so whether you're buying it digitally or as a retail disc, you're going to be able to put it on Steam and use it on Steam, because that's how we're playing it. So no matter what you're buying, in a store, online, it'll always be Steam.
So I could narrate exactly what I'm doing here. There's a lot going on right here. The only reason I am still alive in this game with his overwhelming force is the fact that there's a very narrow choke point right here, and I have a citadel, which is the unique building that the great general can build. And the citadel is an amazingly powerful defensive building that causes, if any enemy unit ends his turn adjacent to the citadel, they will immediately take 3 damage. Out of 10, so that's pretty significant. Plus, whatever unit is stationed on top of it has a 100% bonus to his strength on defense. So there's a lot of stuff to consider here. Zone of control is making it very difficult to maneuver around, but I'm also using it to my advantage. One of my cities just finished building. I am out of iron and horses. I have it all deployed onto the field, so I'm going to go ahead and basically just build an economic building. My happiness is getting very low, so I'm going to follow my economic advisor's suggestion and build a coliseum.
One thing to mention about the civilization we're playing, which is the Japanese, is they have an amazing unit and special ability, and that's the samurai, which are extremely powerful, especially for the age you build them in. And in addition, they fight as if they're at full health. Even when they're damaged, which is really, really powerful. They're a great militaristic civ.
These are my trebuchet unloaded on that guy and completely wiped him out. That was a pretty old unit compared to the trebuchet, so it makes sense that it wiped him out in one hit. My archer my units are suffering from that choke point as well, because I've not been able to push through there very effectively. So a lot of my units are just sitting around.
One of the things you just saw that Greg did is he ordered his worker to improve a resource. If you could go over down to the marble there. And so the way resources work is that you find them out in the map. Obviously, there is marble right there. And all you need to do to add them to your empire is to tell the worker to build an improvement on it. For example, to that marble, if you build a mine on it, that marble will be added to your empire, and you'll get the happiness for that particular resource. And marble is actually pretty interesting because it also gives you a bonus to constructing wonders.
get some fighting going on here. My samurai, now his riflemen out-tech my samurai, but the samurai are very strong, and I've been building them in a city with a couple militaristic buildings, which is making them come out with a lot of good promotions. It's the only reason I'm able to secure a footing here. I'm trying desperately with the samurai over here that have crossed the river, not the river, but have crossed this bit of ocean here, to press in from the side while he's got a lot of his units deployed at the border here. I see that now he's moved up a cannon. Cannons are a big problem, so I'm going to unload on it with my trebuchet. Hopefully weaken him. Did 6 damage to him. Maybe he'll retreat him. Probably not, but at least I'll be able to finish him off next turn if he decides not to move. You can see I came out with another samurai here. I'm going to send him across the little ocean here. I don't know what's the name for that type of water thing. And I've also been building roads up here. Now, roads in Civ 5 cost gold to maintain. You no longer get them for free, so you no longer going to build roads anywhere. You can see my roads here have, I'm only building them where they were necessary to connect my cities. However, I'm finding roads to be very useful up here to get units to the front closer, especially since the opponent does not get a benefit from those roads when he's in my territory. So he is promoted, but I actually like to sometimes save the promotions and not take them immediately so that I can decide to use them when I know what type of unit they're going to be up against. Tokyo over here is just going to continue to develop economically, and we're going to go ahead and give him a temple, which increases the culture. Also got my workers over here, build a trading post, and I've got a samurai up here on the hill, or on the, well, actually not on the hill, it's on the citadel. This samurai is really hurt, but I can tell that there's no way for his units to get to me. I've got rough terrain over here on the left, makes it very hard for him to get in, and I'm being blocked by my own units above him. So I'm going to fortify him until he'll heal, hopefully get some points back. What's great about Japan is that their unique ability is the fact that their units fight at full strength even when injured. That's an incredibly powerful ability, because these units, while they're injured in front, I know that if he comes and attacks them, they are still going to do significant damage in return, and since his units are wounded, probably win that fight. He'll need to come in with fresh units if he wants to finish them off, or the best way to deal with Japan's units is get a lot of ranged units so you can hit them from afar.
Another thing we have is a great general down here near these 2 units, and actually on top of the citadel as well. And what great generals do is they give a large bonus to the military units that are around them, militaristically.
And also, just as a side question, somebody is asking if there is a different song or theme for every leader, and the answer to that is yes.
Yes, the soundtrack and the music that we play is, there's a large variety of different music that we've licensed and recorded for Civilization 5. And it's the music that's chosen to be played is based upon the civilization you're talking to or looking at, and also your current status with that civilization. For example, you get different